Hello, everybody. This is Code2J. In this 1 hour MySQL tutorial for beginners, I will introduce everything you need to know about SQL, MySQL, database, and etc. Then show you how to install and set up MySQL on Mac and Windows. After that, I will demonstrate how to connect and manage MySQL databases, create and manage MySQL tables, data import and export in MySQL. Then you will also learn how to use the select, where, and limit clauses. In the end, I will teach techniques of sorting and aggregating data in MySQL using order by and group by. To start this beginner course, you don't need any prerequisite knowledge. If you want to see more tutorials, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and smash the like button. Okay, let's get started. I will introduce SQL, MySQL, and more. When you Google SQL, you will probably find a lot of related keywords and concepts like SQL, NoSQL, database, relational, non-relational database, database management system, MySQL, PostgreSQL, MongoDB, and more. And you might wonder, what are they and how they relate to each other? Well, it all starts with data. With computers, we generate a lot of data. To store and access data efficiently, the concept database is introduced. A database is an organized collection of data stored and accessed electronically. Based on how the data is modeled, modern databases can be divided into two types. The first type of database models data as rows and columns in a series of tables, and the vast majority use SQL for writing and querying data. So it is called the relational database or SQL database. The other type is called non-relational or NoSQL database because the data was modeled in means other than tabular relations, such as key value pairs, documents, and so on. NoSQL is also sometimes called not only SQL to emphasize that they may support SQL like query languages. The software system that enables users to define, create, maintain, and controls access to the database is defined as the Database Management System, shortened as the DBMS. The Database Management System for relational or SQL databases is called Relational Database Management System, shortened as RDMS. For example, MySQL, PostgreSQL, and Microsoft SQL Server are the most common and widely used relational database management systems. Likewise, the database management system for the non-relational or NoSQL databases is called No Relational Database Management System. They are increasingly used in big data and real-time web applications such as MongoDB, Redis, Apache HBase, and more. In this tutorial series, we will focus on SQL and all the demos will be based on MySQL. Don't worry, all the relational database management systems share the same stand of SQL. Once you learned MySQL, you can easily transfer to other relational database management systems like PostgreSQL or Microsoft SQL Server. You may still wonder, so what is SQL exactly? SQL stands for Structured Query Language, which can be pronounced as SQL or SQL. It is the domain-specific language used in programming and designed for managing data held in a relational database management system. You may ask, why should I learn SQL? Since it's a very simple language and widely used in almost every modern software or tech domain, it becomes a must-have skill for any job role that works with data. When you search and read job advertisements online, you will find not only jobs positions like software engineer or database administrator that requires you to have SQL skill, but also positions like business analyst, data analyst, data scientist, and so on. Learning SQL will open a wider door for your career development and serve as a fundamental skill to help you easily transfer to more advanced and well-paid jobs. So what is MySQL? MySQL is the world's most popular open source relational database management system. The official way of pronunciation is MySQL. It is also common to hear others pronounce it as MySQL. Why should I learn MySQL? Because it is very popular. According to the 2022 Stack Overflow survey, MySQL is the number one user favorite database management system, and Statista's report shows MySQL has the second largest database management systems market share and the number one market share for open source database management system. What's more, the big name companies use MySQL heavily on their products too, like Meta, Uber, Netflix, Amazon, Instagram, and more. So if you want to land a dream job in those companies, learning MySQL will help you become more competitive in the job market. That's it. You have learned what SQL is and why learning it is a big investment. To continue learning, I will show you how to install and set up MySQL on Mac OS and Windows in the next tutorial. We are on the Mac. In the browser, open the MySQL download link dev.mysql.com/downloads/MySQL. Here we can download the latest MySQL version 8.0.31. For the operating system, we select the drop-down button and select Mac OS. There are two different OS versions, Mac OS 12 ARM 64-bit and Mac OS 12 x86 64-bit. The ARM version is for all Mac devices with M1, M1 Pro, Max, or future Apple Silicon chips, while the x86 version is for those with Intel chips. I'm running a Mac with Intel chips, so I select the x86 version. Then we can see four different download files. The first one is the normal Apple DMG application installation file, which provides a general installation wizard like you install any other app on Mac. If you want to install MySQL from the source, you can try with the compressed files. Let's click the first download button to get the MySQL DMG file. Then I don't want to sign up for an account, so I click No thanks, just start my download. Once the download finishes, double-click the DMG file. Right-click the MySQL PKG file to open it. If you see a warning message like the PKG cannot be opened because it is from an unidentified developer, open the System Preferences. Go to Security and Privacy and select the General. Here, click Open Anyway and click Open to confirm. Then a pop-up will show saying that the package will run a program to determine if the software can be installed. Just click Allow and we can start the installation process. Click Continue, Continue, and agree to the license. Then click Install, input the username and password, and click Install Software. Once the installation finishes, we need to configure MySQL Server. Select using strong password encryption and click Next, and enter a strong password for the default MySQL user with username root. Save the password somewhere or remember it since we will need it in the later steps. Make sure the below button is checked so that the MySQL server will start immediately after the installation. Then click the Finish button. Once again, input the password and click OK. Now the installation is finished. We can close it. Let's open the system preferences. We can see the MySQL button. Click it. Here, we can check which MySQL version has been installed and the current active MySQL instance. We can also start and stop the MySQL server, configure whether we want the MySQL server to start when the computer starts up, initialize the database, and even uninstall MySQL. In the configuration section, we can have more advanced configuration options. Let's open a terminal and try to connect to our MySQL server. Before that, we verify the installed MySQL by the command mysql-help. Oops, it says zsh command not found MySQL. Don't be afraid, it doesn't mean MySQL is not installed successfully. Probably MySQL is not added to our share path. By default, MySQL executable binary should be installed under the user local directory. Let's check it to see if there's any MySQL related directory by the command ls-la/usr/local/MySQL. We see the MySQL directory is linked to our installed MySQL version 8.0.31 directory. Let's check if the MySQL executable binary exists inside the directory by the command ls-la/usr/local/mysql/bin/MySQL. Yes, it did exist. Let's use that MySQL executable binary followed by dash dash help. We see the help output. Great. We can use it to connect to our MySQL database with the default username root and password by the command /usr/local/mysql/bin/mysql -u root-p. Then we need to enter the strong password we have set during the installation. Click enter and boom, we have connected to our MySQL server. We can check the MySQL version by the query statement. Select version parenthesis semicolon. Hit enter and we can see that version 8.0.31 is returned. Let's type exit and hit enter to exit the MySQL server. We can always use the MySQL absolute path, but I am lazy and I don't want to type the long path every single time. I just want to simply type MySQL instead of the lengthy path, but it is not working currently. Can we fix that? Yes, and it is very simple actually. We just need to add MySQL to our path. From the error message, we can see I'm running the default Z shell in my terminal. So I need to add MySQL path in the .z profile. If your terminal is using other shells like bash, you need to add it to the .bash profile or .bashrc. Okay, let's use the simple command line editor nano to open my .z profile. Here, we can see the Python path has been added. Let's use the down key to go to the end of the file and hit enter to create a new line. We can add a comment noting that we are adding the MySQL path by starting with the hash, then setting path for MySQL. In the next line, we need to type export path command, which you can also find it in this video description. To save our changes, we can press the Ctrl and X keys to exit, then hit the Y key to confirm saving our changes. In the last step, we just use Enter key to save it in the same file. Then we use the command source Z profile to tell the terminal to reload the latest Z shell profile. Or you can also simply exit and reopen the terminal. Let's try the command mysql help again. Now we see the help output. Let's try to connect the MySQL server with the command mysql-u root-p and inputs the password. And boom, we are connected. Typing the SQL query statement, select version parenthesis semicolon version 8.0.31 is returned. It means we have MySQL successfully installed and set up on the Mac. We are now on Windows 10. Open the URL dev.mysql.com/downloads in the browser. Then click the MySQL installer for Windows. There are two installer files. The smaller one needs to download the installation files on the fly for the products you selected to install, while the big one already contains everything you need. Let's download the big one. Then click No thanks, just start my download. Once the download finishes, right-click the downloaded installation file and click Install. Click Yes and Yes. Click Yes again to apply for the upgrade. Now we can see the MySQL installation wizard. The first step is choosing a setup type, and the default setup is for local development. It will install all the necessary MySQL products for development purposes, like MySQL Server, MySQL Share, etc. Let's select the developer default and click Next. In the requirements check step, we can see a list of products on the left that are about to be installed and their requirements. The middle is the requirements for each product. On the right is the status, which indicates what steps need to take to fulfill the requirements. The MySQL installer will try to resolve the requirement if the status is blank. When the status is manual, we need to meet requirements by ourselves. Here we can see we have two requirements that need to be resolved manually. They are MySQL for Visual Studio and Python connector. If you need to install MySQL for Visual Studio, you have to install Visual Studio first and click Check to resolve. In my case, I don't need it, so I can go back and change the setup type to custom and select Next. Here, I can customize which product I want to install. Let's select MySQL for Visual Studio in the right section and click the left arrow button to remove it. I want to install the Python connector, so I keep it. Then we click Next. Now we only have to resolve the Python connector requirement, which is Python. Click it, we can see the detail of the requirement, which needs Python 64-bit version 3.7 or above installed in our system. Let's click the download URL to open it in a browser. Select Python for Windows. Search for the Python version above 3.7. I choose to install Python 3.10.8 and download the Windows 64-bit installer. Once the download finishes, right-click and open it. Make sure the add python.exe to pass is checked and click Install Now. Click Yes to start the installation. In the final step, click on the to disable the pass length limit button and select Yes. Now we finish the Python installation and we can close it. Then we go back to the MySQL installation, select the connector Python and click the check button. Now we can see the status changes to complete and a check mark on the left. Then we can start resolving all the other requirements by clicking the execute button. It will start installing the required Microsoft Visual C++ 2015 to 2019. Check the Agree button and click Install. Then we can see all the products have the check mark. Now we click Next and Execute. Once the installation finishes, we click Next to start the product configuration. Click Next to start configuring the MySQL server. Keep the default networking and configure type as development computer, then click Next. Select using strong password encryption for authentication and click Next. Now we need to set up the MySQL password for the root user and click Next. Keep the default Windows service setting and click Next. Set the server file permissions as default and click Next. Then click Execute to apply the configuration for the MySQL server. Once it is done, click Finish. Then click Next to configure the MySQL router. Keep the default setting and click Finish. Click Next to test the MySQL server connection. Input the root password and click Check. We can see the connection succeeded status and the check mark. Click Next and Execute to apply the configuration. Then click Finish once it is done. Now we just need to click the Next and Finish button to end the installation. It will automatically start the MySQL share and MySQL workbench, which we will cover in the later videos. Now let's go to the search bar, search for CMD and open the command prompt. In the command prompt, use the command mysql-help to verify the MySQL installation. Of course, MySQL is not recognized since we didn't add MySQL into the path yet. Let's first try with the absolute path of the MySQL executable binary. Open the File Explorer, navigate and find the MySQL installation path in the C driver. Go back to the command prompt. We input the path C program files MySQL, MySQL Server 8.0, bin mysql.exe, then followed with the --help, then hit enter to execute. Now we see the help output. Then we keep the MySQL absolute path at -u root -p to connect to the MySQL server with username root and the password we set during the installation and hit enter. We see that we are connected to the MySQL server. We can run the query statement, select version, parenthesis, semicolon to check the installed MySQL version. Great! We saw that version 8.0.31 is returned. Let's add MySQL to the path so that we can simply use MySQL command instead of the lengthy absolute path. We need to go to the File Explorer, right-click this PC, then select Properties. On the right, look for the Advanced System Settings and click it. Make sure we are in the Advanced section, then click the Environment Variables. Then select Path under the User Variables and click the Edit button. In the pop-up window, click New. Then we go to the File Explorer, to copy the absolute path of the MySQL bin folder and paste it. Click OK to save. Close the windows and go back to the command prompt. Exit the MySQL server. Close and reopen the command prompt to let it load the latest path. Now we try the command mysql help instead of the absolute path, and we see the help output, which means we have succeeded in adding MySQL to the path. Let's verify it using the command mysql-u root-p. Input password. We can connect to the MySQL server. Likewise, we test it using the query statement select version parenthesis semicolon to check the version. It outputs the correct MySQL version 8.0.31. That's it. You have learned how to install and set up MySQL on Mac OS and Windows. I will show you how to connect and manage the MySQL database by the command line. Let's open the terminal. Using the command mysql version, we can see we have MySQL version 8.0.31 installed. To connect to our MySQL database server, we need to run the command mysql-h localhost-P 3306-u root-p. In this command, we tell MySQL to connect the MySQL server on my local host with default port 3306 and use username root and password. If you have customized the MySQL server port, you need to change the port accordingly. If the MySQL server you want to connect is running on another machine or cloud, you need to change localhost to either the IP address or domain name of the MySQL server host. OK, hit the Enter key, give the password, and hit Enter. Then we have connected to MySQL. On the left, the C shell prompt changed to MySQL, which also indicates that we have connected to MySQL. Type exit and hit enter to exit MySQL. It outputs by and the C shell prompt changes back. If we are connecting to MySQL server on the local host and the port is by default 3306, you know what? We can simply remove them and only use the command mysql-u root-p to connect. When we connect to the MySQL server, sometimes we may be refused with an error message like can't connect to local MySQL server through socket. On Mac OS, we need to go to the System Preferences and click MySQL. Here we can see the MySQL server is not running. We have to click Start MySQL Server, give the password, then go back to the terminal to connect again. Now it works. On Windows, we need to search for services in the search bar and then open it. Scroll down to find the service with the name MySQL 80. Right-click it and select Start. Then go back to the command prompt and just try the connect command again. Once we connect it, we can use the query statement to get the data that we want. For example, using the command select version parenthesis semicolon. It returns the data as a table with the column header name version parenthesis and row value 8.0.31. By default, MySQL is not case sensitive. It means that we can get the same result no matter how we capitalize the query statement partially or totally. To query multiple values, we just need to add more keywords and separate them by a comma. For example, select version parenthesis, comma, current date, semicolon. It returns a table with two columns. The first row is the header, version parenthesis, and current date. The second row is their values. Since the video was recorded on 2022 December 9th, the value of the current date is 2022 December 9th. MySQL also allows us to write the query statement in multiple lines. Let's say we input select version, comma, and hit enter. It will not execute the query statement, and we found the right error sign on the prompt, which tells us that MySQL is waiting for us to finish the query statement. We can continue writing our query until we input the semicolon sign and hit enter. Then it will be executed and the results will be returned. During writing our query statement, sometimes we may want to cancel what is already written and start over. In this case, we can simply use the command /c to accomplish it. We can also use the Ctrl and C keys to achieve the same goal. To list all the existing databases, we can use the simple command show databases semicolon. The result shows that we have 4 databases. To create a new database, we can use the command create database, then followed by the database name, for example, db new. It returns query OK, one row affected. Let's run the show databases command again. Now we see 5 databases, including our newly created database dbnew. Basically, you can create as many databases as you need. Usually we have many databases, so we need to indicate which database the query statement is going to run on. We can check which database are we currently in by the command select database parenthesis semicolon. It returns none, which means we didn't select any database yet. We can simply select any database we want to work on by the command use followed by the database name. For example, our newly created database dbnew. The output says the database changed. Let's run the select database query statement again to verify. Now it shows we are currently in database dbnew. You know what? We can actually tell MySQL to directly connect to the specific database in the MySQL connect command. Let's exit and bring back our MySQL connect command. Here, we just need to add the name of the database we want to connect before -p. Input password to connect, then run the command select database parenthesis semicolon. We see that we have been in the database dbnew. To delete a database, we can simply use the command drop database followed by the name of the database we want to delete. For example, dbnew. Run the command show databases. We confirmed that database dbnew has been deleted. That's it. You have learned how to connect and manage MySQL database via the command line. Today, I will show you how to create, insert, update, delete, and drop MySQL tables. As you can see, I have already connected to the MySQL server in a terminal. If you don't know how to set up and connect to MySQL, please check my previous videos. Let's use the command show databases to list all the available databases. We have 4 default databases. Let's create a database called sales by the command create database sales. Then we run the show databases command again. Our newly created database sales has been listed. In order to create a table in sales, let's select database sales using the command use sales and verify it by the command select database parentheses. From the output, we confirm that the currently selected database is sales. Now we can use the simple command show tables to list all the tables in database sales. Of course, it returns an empty set since we don't have any table. Let's assume that we need a table to save our products' IDs, names, prices, and stock levels. We can use the command create table product parentheses ID integer not null, comma, name varchar parentheses 50 not null, comma, price float, comma, stock integer. It basically tells MySQL to create a table named product with 4 columns named ID, name, price, and stock. For each column, we need to define its data type. ID and stock are type integers. The name is type varchar parentheses 50, which contains a maximum of 50 characters. Price is type float. You might have noticed that we have set columns ID and name to not null, which means those two columns cannot be null or empty values, while price and stock can be set to null or empty values. Execute it and run the command show tables again. Then we see the newly created table product has been listed. To get a summary of the table structure, we can use the command describe with table name, for example, product. It will show all fields, data types, nullable, etc. Now we have the table product. Let's insert some rows into the table. To do so, we just need to use the insert command. Insert into with the table name product and then values parentheses. Inside the parentheses, we give the value for each column. For example, ID equals 1. The name is red apple. The price was $2.99 and with 450 stock. Execute it. It shows one row affected. We can use the simple select command to show all rows in a table product. Now we can see we have inserted the product red apple successfully. Using this command, we can insert a single row at a time by replacing the value. We can also insert multiple rows at a time by adding more column values wrapped by the parentheses, then separating them by a comma. For example, insert two products, green apple and orange, in a single insert command like what I did. Run the select command again. We confirmed that we have 3 rows in our table product. What if we only want to insert value for some columns? Let's say we want to add more products with price, but we don't know the stock yet. In this case, we need to add the column names after the table name product wrapped in parentheses. Then we only provide values for those columns. Since column stock is nullable, the stock value will take null as default for those 2 rows. What if we insert columns of price and stock only? We can see an error message that the field ID doesn't have a default value, and it is designed so on purpose, because a product must have an ID and name. Keep in mind that all the not null columns here are ID and name need to have values, otherwise it will throw an error for the insert command. If we want to change values for the existing table rows, we can use the update command. Let's say we want to increase $1 to the price of all products. The command update followed by the table name product, then set price equals to price plus 1. The output says 5 rows were affected. When we listed all the rows in the table product, we can see every product price has been increased by $1. Can we update only specific rows? Yes. For example, we want to update the null stock rows to 0. We can use the command update product set stock equals to 0 where stock is null. Here, the command where stock is null makes sure the update command only applies to rows with null stock values. Check the select command. We confirm that only the stocks of Blueberry and Coca-Cola have been updated to 0. We notice that the product name Blueberry has a typo. Let's fix it with the command update product set name equals to Blueberry where ID equals to 4. We can also update multiple columns in a single command. For example, the command update product set price equals to 3.99, stock equals to 600, where name equals to orange changes the product orange's price and stock at the same time. Delete rows from the table is also very simple using the command delete from table name where condition. For example, the command delete from product where ID equals to 3 will delete product orange. Delete from product where stock equals to 0 will delete products Blueberry and Coca-Cola. Delete from product without the where condition will delete all rows. It can also be achieved by the command truncate followed by the table name product. Both of the commands only remove the data of the table. The table itself still exists as shown in the show tables command. To remove everything from a table, including the table itself, we need the command drop table followed by the table name, for example, product. Now, when we run the command show tables, the table product does not exist in our database cells anymore. That's it. You have learned how to create, insert, update, delete, and drop MySQL tables. Today, I will show you how to import and export data in MySQL. Let's create a table product with the command and load data from a text file into it. In my download folder, I have a comma-separated text file with 4 columns, ID, name, price, and stock, which contains 1,000 rows of artificial product data. You can download it in the video description. MySQL provides the load data in file command to load the text file data into MySQL table. Let's type the command load data in file followed by the path of the CSV file into table product. Fields terminated by the comma, enclosed by the double quotes. Lines terminated by new line characters. Since the first line of the CSV file is the column header, we need to ignore 1 row. This command basically tells MySQL to load the text file located in the download folder into the table product. where the CSV file column is comma separated, enclosed by a double quote, lines terminated by a new line character, and ignore the first row. Execute it, we see an error message that says MySQL is running with the secure file pref option. By default, MySQL only allows processing files in a specific location for security concerns. Using the command show variables like secure file pref to check the settings of this option, the value returns now, which means we need to configure it. Let's go to the System Preferences and stop the MySQL first. In the Configuration section, we can provide the path of a MySQL configuration file in which we can set the Secure File Pref option. Let's go back to the terminal and create a MySQL configuration file called my.cnf under the path user local MySQL using the touch command. Of course, we need to add the sudo to get the permission in this path. Using the nano command to open it and add MySQLd in square brackets in the first line, then copy the option name secure file pref equals to empty quotes. Save it and copy the configuration file path. Go back to the MySQL settings to paste it. Make sure the configuration file button is checked and click Apply. Then switch to the Instances section and start the MySQL server. Now we are allowed to load data from the temporary directory to MySQL. Let's copy the CSV file from the download folder to the temporary directory. Then we need to change the file path to temporary product.csv and hit enter to execute. We see 1000 records have been imported, which can also be verified by the simple select command. What about exporting data from the MySQL table into a text file? Let's say we want to export all the low stock level products into a text file for offline analysis. First, we can select all the products which has less than 10 pieces of stock by the command select from product where stock smaller than 10. We have 6 products that have stock risk. We can simply export them by adding the command into alt file temporary directory product stock risk.csv fields terminated by a semicolon, enclosed by a double quote, lines terminated by the new line characters after the select command. It basically tells MySQL to export the data getting from the select command into a text file named product stock risk.csv under the temporary directory. Then the text file column is separated by a semicolon, enclosed by a double quote, and lines terminated by the new line characters. Execute it, then we can verify the existence of the text file product stock risk.csv using the command cat to display the content of the CSV file. We can confirm that it is exactly what the select command returned. On Windows, we have the same CSV file in the download folder. Let's check the secure file pref option settings by the command show variables like secure file pref. From the output, we can see that a path has been already set up. It means that we don't need to configure it again. Let's open this folder and copy the CSV file into it. In the import command, we change the infile path to the one in the uploads folder. Attention here, make sure to change all the backslash into slash, otherwise it will not work. Then hit enter to execute it. We can see 1000 rows have been imported. We can also use the select into out file command to export all the stock risk products into a CSV file in the uploads folder as I did. Open the product stock risk.csv. We confirmed that the data has been exported successfully. That's it. You have learned how to import and export data in MySQL. Today, I will show you how to use the select, where, and limit clauses to select and filter data in MySQL. To query data from a MySQL table, we need the select statement. For example, select from product, which means get all the data in a table product. The asterisk sign represents all the available table columns. Product is the name of the table. It returns back all 4 columns and 1K rows in a table product. If we want to query specific columns, we can replace the asterisk sign with a specific column name, for example, ID. It returns the column ID and all the 1K rows. To add more column names separated by a comma, we can query multiple columns, for example, ID, price, and stock. Apart from querying the column value itself, we can apply some functions to it. For example, the function count returns the number of rows in a table. We can put any column name in the table or the asterisk sign as the function parameter. It returns that we have 1000 rows in a table product. Of course, we can apply different functions for different columns based on our needs. For example, apart from counting the number of the rows, we want to know the average price of the product. We can add a comma, then apply the function average to the column price. In the output, we got both results returned. There are many useful built-in functions in MySQL. I have left the link to the reference in the description. You can check it out and get what you need. You might notice that the column name of the returned table is the function call. We can simply create an alias by using the command as. For example, rename count ID as num product, average price as average price. We can see the column names in the result table are the alias. Sometimes we want to filter the table rows. For that, we can use the where clause. It filters the table row based on the Boolean result of the conditions followed by the where clause. For example, select from product where true returns all the rows, while select from product where false returns nothing. Instead of plain true or false, we can set various conditions based on the column values to filter meaningful results. For instance, we can query the product whose ID is less than or equal to 5 by adding the where condition ID is less than or equal to 5. We can combine multiple conditions using the logical operators and or. For example, by adding and stock larger than 400, we filter the table rows based on columns ID and stock. Only rows that have ID smaller than or equal to 5 and stock is larger than 400 are returned. Using the logical operator OR, we can filter rows that have ID smaller than or equal to 5 or stock less than 3. We can rewrite the condition stock smaller than 3 using the function in. For instance, in parentheses 0, 1, 2 separated by a comma. All the rows with stock equal to any value in the list will be filtered out. We can also use the function between and. For example, filter rows with ID between 1 and 7. These functions or operators are very useful for numerical columns, while for columns with the string type, sometimes it may not be suitable. For example, column product name is with type string. Of course, we can use the equal operator to filter a specific product, but we can also use the function like to filter based on the patterns of the string values. For example, name like pasta percentage sign means filter all the rows with the name starting with pasta. Percentage sign represents any kind of character with any length. It returns all the pasta products in a table which has 19 in total. The like function gives us a lot of flexibility to query different patterns. Let's say we want to filter all the fresh pasta. We can use the pattern pasta percentage sign fresh percentage sign to filter all the rows with product names starting with pasta and containing characters fresh. In the results, we have two fresh pasta products. We can also use logical operators to combine multiple patterns. For example, we combine patterns name not like pasta percentage sign fresh percentage sign and name like pasta percentage sign using logic AND to select all the not fresh pasta products. In the results, we see all the pasta products except the ones containing fresh in their name. Sometimes we might only want to see the first n results. In this case, we can use the limit clause. For example, adding limit 1 returns the first row of all the eligible rows. Change 1 to 10, we can see the first 10 eligible rows have been returned. Apart from like, there are many other ways to compare string columns. You can find the link to this string comparison functions and operator reference in the description. Check this out to build conditions that fit your need. That's it. You have learned how to use the select, where, and limit clauses. Today, I will show you how to use order by and group by to sort and aggregate the data in MySQL. Using the select statement, we can query rows from the MySQL table. As you can see, we have selected the first 10 rows of the table product. We can simply sort the rows by the order by clause. Let's say we want to sort rows based on the column stock ascending. We just need to add the statement order by stock ASC after the table name product. ASC stands for ascending. MySQL will sort ascending by default, so we can remove the ASC part. From the results, we see the rows are sorted by the stock ascending. If we want to sort rows descending, we just need to add DESC after the column name. DESC means descending. Now, rows with larger stock appear at the top. For numeric columns, we can sort them by their values, while for string columns, we can sort them alphabetically. For instance, if we sort by the column name ascending, the results will order by name from A to Z, while sorting descending, it will order by the name from Z to A. Sorting by multiple columns can be simply achieved by adding column names with ascending or descending, then separating by a comma. For example, sorting the product by stock ascending, then by price descending. We can see the results has been ordered by stock ascending at first. Then products with the same stock level will be ordered by price descending. Sometimes we might be interested in data aggregation because it brings us many valuable insights. For example, how is our price distributed? For each price level, how many products do we have? And what is the stock situation? To get a list of unique values for a column, we can use the distinct clause. For instance, the command select distinct price from product will return the unique value of the column price. The result shows there are in total 199 different prices. The same result can be achieved by the group by clause with the command select price from product group by price. It basically groups all the rows into different partitions based on the column price. What's more useful is we can add aggregation functions to draw insights for each group. For example, we can see the total number of products for each price group by adding comma, count, parentheses, asterisk sign as num product. For simple visualization, we add limit 10 to see the first 10 rows. From the results, we can tell that we are selling 5 products at $95.99 and 8 products at $35.99. We can add more aggregation functions, for instance, comma, min, stock, as minimal stock calculates the minimal stock level for each price group. We can also change the min function to max to get the maximum stock level for each price group. There are a variety of aggregation functions provided by MySQL. Basically, we can add as many aggregation functions as we need. You can check out the reference link in the video description. All the MySQL techniques we have learned so far, such as selecting, filtering, sorting, and aggregating, are explained in a separate video. It doesn't mean to prevent you combining them. Instead, in reality, we have to apply them together to achieve our goals. For example, we can apply sorting and aggregation together to show the stock level of the product with the 10 lowest prices by sorting the aggregation result by price ascending, or get insights from the product with the 10 most stock levels by sorting the aggregation result by the aggregation function sum stock descending. That's it. You have learned how to use order by and group by. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and click the like button. Feel free to use the Google form link in the description to request video topic. I will talk to you at the next one. Bye bye.